Hi everybody, you've arrived at Todd's World of Cooking. Today I'm going to show you how to make key lime pie. This is one of my favorite pies to make. It has very few ingredients, it's easy to make, and it's absolutely delicious. I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and ring that notification bell. Now here's all the ingredients you're going to need. Alright, so let's get started. I've got my butter melted and ready to go. Now I used a food processor to turn my graham crackers into crumbs, but if you don't want to clean your food processor, you can just put the graham crackers into a bag and use a rolling pin or other device to make them crummy. You don't want to make them too fine because that will keep them from holding together once the crust has been baked. And if you have any big pieces that didn't get crushed up, you can just use your fingers. Add about half of the melted butter in there and get the crumbs started absorbing that butter. You don't want to put it all in at once because it may not need it. You don't want the pie crust to be too wet because then you're going to end up with burnt edges on the crust and the rest of the crust is not going to be completely baked. And now you just want to spend some time working that butter into the crumbs. You want to get all of that butter completely absorbed into the crumbs until you can pick up a handful, give it a squeeze, and it holds together. Now you can start forming your pie crust. You can use a glass with a flat bottom if you prefer doing that. I prefer using my hands. And once we have it all formed, it's ready to go into a preheated 350 degree oven. This is a 9-inch springform pan that I'm using. You can use any kind of pie pan that you like. We're going to bake that for 15 minutes and then take it out, let it cool. While it's cooling, we can make our filling. And now for that delicious filling. I'm going to start by pouring the sweetened condensed milk into a mixing bowl. You want to get every drop of that out of there. That's just pure deliciousness. Every drop. Now I had one of my cans that didn't want to open. And then finally, after a lot of pleading and begging, I got part of the lid to bend back so that I could get all of that deliciousness out of it. So now finally we can add our 2 whole eggs. I know that a lot of key lime pie recipes call for 4 or even 5 egg yolks, but I just use 2 whole eggs. The reason why you need the eggs in there is to help that filling set after it has baked. I am using a hand mixer with a whisk attachment. You can just whisk this by hand. It's just as easy. May take a little bit longer, but what you want to do is you just want to make sure that you're whisking it enough to where you're not going to see the orange yolk in there anymore, because that's going to be completely combined and emulsified in with that sweetened condensed milk. Now we're going to add our key lime juice. And now it's going to start looking a little funky, like it's not going to come together, but it will. You can use regular lime juice when you're making this. If you can't find key limes, you can't find key limes. And it does take about between 30 and 40 key limes to make 1 cup of key lime juice. That's a lot of squeezing, but I did that. That's what I did. And now you can see it's coming together really nicely. Didn't take much time at all. Very little time, actually. And we are ready to get our now cooled pie crust out and pour this filling into it. At this point, everything just smells amazing. When you bake a graham cracker crust, it just smells so good. So we're going to get all of this filling into the pie crust. You're going to want to make sure that you get all of that out of that mixing bowl. Just scrape all of that in there. This is one of those situations where there's no lick in the spoon, no lick in the bowl because of those raw eggs that are in there. Now once we have that all in the pie crust, we're going to smooth it around. You can see that some of the crust kind of broke off there. Not to worry, once this has been baked and then refrigerated, we're going to cover that up. Once we have it smoothed out, we're going to put it into the oven. It's still heated at 350 degrees. We're going to put it in there for about 15 minutes and then pull it out, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. I have the pie out with my giant green claw hand. I'm going to show you, see how it shakes in the middle? That's what you want. You don't want it to be completely solid. All you want is that little bit of a shake. Then we're going to refrigerate this for a couple of hours before we put on our topping. And while the pie is chilling, I've got 2 cups of sour cream. I'm going to use about 6 tablespoons of the powdered sugar. You kind of want to do this to taste. A lot of people use whipped cream, or some people even put a meringue on top out of egg whites. Sour cream and powdered sugar are the way to go when you're making a key lime pie. Mix it together and you're going to see it's going to become really glossy and beautiful. You'll want to give it a little bit of a taste. You might want to add a little bit more of the powdered sugar if you want it sweeter, but this gives it a sweet, very slight tangy flavor to it that goes perfectly with a key lime pie. See how glossy that is? It's just so beautiful. So grab a spoon, give it a little taste, and it is exactly perfect. It's exactly the way I like it. So we can now bring our pie out of the refrigerator and start dressing it up with this beautiful, delicious topping. You just start by dumping it on top of the pie in little spots. We're going to do our best to cover up those crumbs that are on top. Just get all of that mixture in there of the sour cream and powdered sugar. Get it all on top of there, and then we're going to very gently smooth it around. We don't want to break any more of that pie crust off of there. So we'll just very gently move that around, push it toward the pie crust to try and keep that pie crust from pulling back onto the topping. So you want to be pretty gentle with this. I always still have a couple pieces of, well, that's real good. I always have a couple pieces of crumb that like to stick to the spoon or pull back. But you know what? This pie is so delicious, nobody's gonna care. So I have some crumbs sticking to the back of the spoon, so I'm just gonna get a napkin and wipe that off, and then continue smoothing the top out. Depending on what kind of design, if you want to make any design at all, you'll want to just get it as smooth as you can. You can leave it lumpy if you like. It's going to be delicious either way. But what I like to do is I like to get it as smooth as I can, because I like to make a little design on top. Nothing complicated, very simple. I just take the edge of the spoon and start tapping the edge of the spoon to the top of the pie. Once I get it all smoothed out, so I'm just going to tap, and it kind of gives like a little pinwheel design. It's not complicated. It's very easy, which means it's not complicated. And I just go around the pie. It's kind of mesmerizing. And then I do just a couple of them in the middle. Once this is all done, we're going to put this back in the refrigerator for about 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. You don't have to do this overnight. You just want to refrigerate it long enough to where it's holding up nicely. And there you have it. Key lime pie. Easy to make, very few ingredients, and absolutely delicious. I hope you give this a try. Thanks for watching, and have an awesome day.